guys, and welcome back to Opal&Mint. I am Ashley. Today's video is going to be a little bit different. I am doing a voiceover, mostly because I don't know what I'm doing while I'm painting today. I am going to attempt to paint a landscape, and I, in the past, have not really painted that many landscapes, and so I figured we would venture into this together and try to learn. So I painted a couple before this one and wasn't super happy with the way they turned out. But I'm just going to talk you through this landscape. I will put a picture of the reference photo that I used for this. I've discovered that when I don't know what I'm doing, when I'm painting something new, I have to use a reference photo for the first several times until I get comfortable, and then I can just go in and paint from my brain or, what have you. So first I started with the sky. I wanted kind of a sunset sky. So I mixed a little bit of the yellow and the red, a tiny bit of blue on the top. I didn't want to mix the blue down into the yellow too much because I didn't want a green sky. But I am putting a little bit of a sun right here just above the horizon line. So I'm taking my cloth and just lifting that paint in the circle. So it looks like you can see the sun right on the horizon. And then I'm blending out that horizon line with just a clean, wet brush. And the one thing about landscapes that is difficult for me is waiting for each layer to dry. So I am using my heat tool. There are going to be a lot of layers in this painting, so the heat tool is definitely helpful for me, who is obviously, as you can tell, messy and quick painter. All right, so I wanted to do the pink clouds, and this is honestly my favorite part about painting landscapes, the clouds. I could just paint clouds all day long. It's everything underneath the sky that I have a problem with for some reason, but the clouds I absolutely love. So I'm taking this beautiful pink color and I'm just slowly building up some fluffy clouds. And when you're painting clouds, to get that sense of depth in your painting, the higher they are on your paper, the bigger and fluffier they are, and the closer to the horizon line, the smaller and skinnier your clouds will be. So as you can see here, I'm painting some smaller little bitty clouds because those are like off into the distance on the horizon line. But I just kind of go back and forth, and I'm not completely duplicating the reference photo. I'm using it kind of as inspiration. So I'm not trying to make the clouds exactly like those. So I'm kind of just putting them where I feel like they fit on my paper. Adding a little bit of cobalt violet into them. I wanted a little bit of a purple, and putting it kind of at the base of the clouds to give it some more shape and depth. And then at the top of the clouds, I wanted them to be a little bit more fluffy. So I'm adding a little bit more water and lightening up just the top edge of some of these clouds. Yeah, this is definitely my favorite part. All right, now I'm going to mix up a color that I want to start for my mountains. I'm going to start with kind of a purple color for the mountains, and then we will change color as we go down the paper. But for the mountains, all I'm doing is painting a thin line of color, washing my brush off, and taking that clean water to blend out that edge. So we want this mountain to look like it has some fog coming up from the base of it. So just kind of fading that color out. And we're going to just repeat this process over and over, and making sure to dry it in between each mountain. There are a couple of times that I don't dry it all the way and that line does bleed, and I have to go back in and redo it after it's dry. But this process is going to be the same for the rest of the mountains. So I'm going to let you watch this, and then after the mountains are done, I'll come back on and talk. Okay, now that the mountains are done, we're gonna go in basically the same process. We're gonna do the grassy hills. I'm just making it a little bit more solid. I'm not putting that like fog element in there, but I am having like a darker line at the top of those hills. And then I'm gonna go in with a tree line. So basically I'm just taking a deep green, and the hill is still wet, so that green's gonna blend down into it as well. But I'm just doing little tree and bush shapes along that top line of the hill. And then I take a clean brush and I kind of blend out that bottom of the trees to make it blend down into the hill. So I do this again, just like the mountains, copy, repeat, and just a couple of these rolling hills with some trees on them to finish out this painting. I also go in with, this is basically just black, and deepen up and put some shadows on the trees that are way back in the distance, just adding another layer of that depth. And I'm going to put the last little hill in. I love this green color. I just mixed a whole bunch of colors. I love making my own greens. And I forgot to mention, these are my Holbein paints. I'll link down below some of the colors that I used. I usually have my supplies linked in the description. But I really liked the tone of green I mixed here. So I'm going to add a little bit of color into this last one, so it looks like there's some wildflowers just growing in the grassy hill. And I'm putting one bigger tree right here on the right side of the paper. Just kind of scribbling little lines to make a shape of a tree. Putting a little bush closer in the foreground, and then to finish it off, I am going to put some little wispy grass just in the very front of the paper. And that is basically it. I put a little bit of color on the end of some of these so they look like flowers, but that is my first, well, I'm not gonna say my first landscape. That is the landscape today. Now, like I said, I did paint a couple of other ones beforehand. I am gonna show you those real quick just so you can see not everything works out the first time. I love pulling the tape off. It's my favorite part. I think my favorite part about this painting is the sky. I love the sky. If you'd like to see a video on painting clouds and skies different ways, let me know, because that I could totally do. But I just need to work on my landscapes. I think it's the depth of the painting that I need to practice. But yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and show you the other two that I tried before this, just so you can see. Again, on this channel, we're here to learn. We learn from our mistakes. We learn from trying. we don't worry about failure here. So I'll let you watch this process. I sped it up as fast as I could so you could just see how I painted these. Alright guys, that wraps up today's video. I hope that you enjoyed this. If you do want to see me paint more landscapes in the future, let me know. Let me know what type of landscapes you'd like to see as well. But that is it for today's video. If you enjoyed this, please give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't already and you want to see our future videos, hit that subscribe button down below. See you guys next time. Bye! Baby, I'm trying to do a voiceover. You gotta be quiet.